Now it's time for some New York Mets baseball talk. Here's Gary Mack bringing you the latest news and analysis from Mets Nation and the world of baseball on another edition of Mets Musings.
And hello and welcome to another edition of Mets Musings, episode number 108. And remember, you can find us all over the place. You can find us at MetsMusings.com, BaseballPodcast.net, Stitcher.com, TuneIn.com, and iTunes.com. If you have a question or a comment or just anything, you can call the voicemail hotline at 516-619-6341, or you can go to our website, MetsMusings.com. Look on the right side. There's a little widget there that you can click on and leave a voicemail that way. Or you can do it the old-fashioned way and send me an email at metsmusings@gmail.com. And before we get started tonight, I just wanted to give a shout-out to the 7-Line Army. The 7-Line, of course, the T-shirt company that is very active in New York Mets circles unofficially. And the 7-Line Army is a great idea. It's almost like a big fan club or whatever. And they recently had a trip to Chicago. And if you watch the game on PIX, you never heard them mentioned, but you may have seen when shots were taken to the outfield, a large contingent of orange shirts in the bleachers. That was the 7-Line Army. And they went out on a trip, and anybody can go. You can buy a ticket through them. And with the ticket, you receive your T-shirt. They have been at Shea Stadium. Listen to me. They have been at Citi Field on opening day. They were there. They've been there numerous times. And it's great, and I hope someday to join them. Just got to work it out when we can. They have an event, and I can make it at the same time, because I'd love to be in the midst of that craziness and that camaraderie and that passion for the New York Mets. So a little shout out to Darren Meenan and the 7-Line. They're doing some great things there, and 3 cheers for them. Okay. It started out nice. 2 out of 3 in a weekend series against the Cubs. Matt Harvey had to win his own game, but he did, and they took the Cubs on Friday. Lost badly on Saturday to the Cubbies, but came back with an exciting game on Sunday as Daniel Murphy hit a go-ahead solo home run in the 8th inning, and they were able to hold on. Bobby Parnell got his 6th save then, and Mets won a series for the first time in a long time as they took 2 from the Cubbies in Wrigley Field. And unfortunately, they had to come home, and they came home to meet the Cincinnati Reds, who, quite frankly, they look terrible against. Again, Sean Markham allowed 4 runs in 6 innings on the Monday night game, and they're not hitting enough, folks. They came back, but they're just not playing well at all. The offense is stymied, and Ike Davis, we've talked about this ad nauseum on this show, and he just continues to hurt this team, and now he's taking it out on the field no matter what they tell you. Big error in the first inning on Monday night's game with an obstruction call that really opened it up for the Cincinnati Reds and allowed them to score 3 runs at that point. Tuesday, same thing. He came up with the bases loaded and hit a ground ball to second. The Mets could only muster 3 hits against Mike Leake, who pitched an excellent game for the Reds. Sometimes you just got to tip your hat, and the Mets were shut out. And yesterday, Matt Harvey came back again in the game and got a no decision after allowing 4 runs and 9 hits in 6 and a third innings. not his best outing. The Reds kind of figured him out and were hitting him pretty hard, but Harvey, he can stay in there and hang in there. And he pitched against Matt Latos, another pretty darn good pitcher, and both received no decisions. Unfortunately, Bobby Parnell had a rough ninth inning, and again, Ike Davis was in the middle of two potential plays that hurt the Mets. The one was in the seventh inning. It was a slow hit ground ball to first with a runner breaking from third. He sat back on it and allowed the big hop to come to him instead of being more aggressive and trying to charge the ball and making a play at the plate. Again, this is one of those, it's a judgment call. Maybe he felt he couldn't do it, but I think the point is, at this part of the season and the way this team has been playing, they have to start taking some crazy chances like that. He should have been charging that ball and going to home plate with the throw to try to cut down that run at any cost, because they're just not playing well enough to it's not like they can come back and hit a 3-run home run, and he's the guy that's supposed to do it. He's not doing it. His average is down to 147 now. And the other play that he was involved in, which opened up run to score and allowed more afterwards, was a sharply hit ground ball in the ninth inning. And that ball bounced. He thought it was foul, and he didn't play it, and he let it go. It hit the bag and it landed in fair grounds, past the bag in fair grounds, and went for a double. I've heard both sides. You'll hear another side of it with a voicemail that we're going to play, that he thought it was foul. It was hard to tell at that, but I'm going to go by what Ron Darling said, and Ron Darling says you've got to catch that ball, fair, foul, or what, and see what the call is from there instead of just letting it go and playing umpire. And that's essentially what he did. He played umpire, and it didn't pay off. And with the hitting the way it is, his especially, it's time. The Boo Birds are out. It's time to send down Ike Davis. They're going. Rumors are he has this weekend against the Braves to sort this out, and if nothing happens of any significance, he will be sent down. My fear is that if he does get a couple of hits, that they use that as an excuse for keeping him, when, in all honesty, he needs to be sent down to clear his head, to get his stuff together, because he has completely lost all confidence in himself, and it looks like he's totally lost. He doesn't know what to do. Doesn't look like he understands anything about hitting or anything. I mean, it's just pathetic at this stage, and I don't think they're doing him any favors, in my opinion, by keeping him up here, and I think they're hurting him. And I don't know if that's one of their fears, that they're afraid they'll lose him completely. But if he's lost, then he's lost, and he's not going to come back no matter what. And it's just too much. You cannot play him. He's becoming a liability on the field as well as hitting, and that's not good. So we ended up with a 2-4 week. One win would have been nice, 3-3, just to keep it at 500. The Mets are at a low point. They're 10 games under 500 for the season. This is not good. It's hard to see out of the hole that they're digging themselves into, and hopefully, who knows? Maybe by sending down Ike Davis, that will be a spark to other people, and they'll start playing better. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. The pitching, Jonathan Neese the other day started off, couldn't find home plate in the first inning, and 4 runs against him, dug him a hole. Then he found something and pitched well for another 5 innings. But we can't keep going like this. We can't keep getting in these holes. They have to get off to a better start, the starting pitchers. And it shows signs that it's coming around. Even the bullpen shows signs of coming around. But just when you think things are going to turn, something bad happens. And we're right back to square one. So let's hope that they can turn it around, or else it's going to be a real long season here at Mets Musings. But I think they can turn it around. I'm going to be optimistic that in a couple of weeks, Zach Wheeler will be up. Maybe he can help shore up that pitching. Tim Burdack is working very hard down there, and maybe he'll be back in a few weeks. And some Mets notes before we go to the voicemail. Travis d'Arnaud met with team doctors in New York last Friday, and he will continue to wear a non-weight-bearing boot for the next 2 weeks. So we're not going to see Travis for quite some time. 2 weeks puts him in at least the early part of June. He's going to have to get back in baseball shape and start playing some games. So I wouldn't expect to see him back in a Las Vegas uniform until July 1st. The Mets have signed right-handed pitcher David Aardsma to a minor league deal. Aardsma has played parts of 7 seasons in the major leagues with a career 4.22 ERA in 255 games. He has posted a 1.433 whip overall, last appearing with the Yankees last year, appearing in only 1 inning and allowing a solo home run and 1 strikeout. His best seasons came in 2009 and 2010. Where he saved a combined 69 games and posted a 2.9 ERA as the Seattle Mariners closer. And right-handed pitcher Rafael Montero allowed just 2 runs on 4 hits with only 1 walk against 5 strikeouts in 6 2/3 innings. He was 1 out away from a complete game victory in Game 1 of the 51's doubleheader with the Cubs the other day, but after allowing a solo home run to start the 7th, Montero was he came back to bounce. He bounced back and struck out the next batter before walking the next batter after that, and it was the final batter he faced. He was relieved by Josh Edgin, who allowed singles to Ian Stewart and Donnie Murphy to hand Montero the loss. Montero was sent back to Binghamton after the game. He, of course, was called up from Binghamton to do a spot start for the 51s and pitched pretty well. As they say, he got the loss, but he pitched well, and look for him to be promoted maybe in a month or so. I think they're probably waiting to see how Zach Wheeler did. By the way, Zach Wheeler returned from his little trip and his little vacation with a sore shoulder. He returned yesterday as well and pitched and was very rusty. We are recording this on Thursday the 23rd, so when I say yesterday, I mean Wednesday the 22nd. Showed some rust. Didn't pitch all that bad, though. Was just a little rusty and a little wild with his control, so they'll be looking to settle that down and get that leveled off. So another couple of good outings, I think we will see him in a Mets uniform. Noah Syndergaard also pitched yesterday. Quite a day for Mets pitchers, or potentially future Mets pitchers, as Syndergaard pitched and had probably not the best of outings, probably the worst outing that he's had in a while. But he was due for a bad outing, so you take it where it comes, and we'll see how the next outing is, and hopefully he'll bounce back. And Steven Matz of Long Island had a decent outing the other day for Savannah, the Sand Gnats, and Rainey Lara got the news today. He was promoted from A-ball Savannah to St. Lucie, which plays a longer season. So congratulations on that promotion for Rainey Lara, and he's going to be a name to watch as we go along. And another name to watch is the catching prospect, Kevin Plawecki, who is tearing the cover off the ball for Savannah. And he could be on his way to either St. Lucie or maybe even Binghamton. That's how well he's doing in a short time. So look for those two names, Rainey Lara and Kevin Plawecki. All right, we're going to play a voicemail that we got from my former co-host, Barry, who was actually at the game yesterday, but I'm going to let him tell you all about it, and then we'll be back.
Hey, Gary, it's your former Mets Musings partner, Barry, calling in as I said I would occasionally. I chose today to call because earlier today my wife and I went to the Mets-Reds game and had the privilege of seeing Mets pitching sensation Matt Harvey hook up against Mets Musing legend Matt Lanos. Neither had their A game today, but had the score tied at 2-2 in the seventh when Cincinnati got 2 runs in the top half of the inning. However, to their credit, and almost amazingly now, the Mets tied the game in the bottom half of the frame. And equally amazing, the bullpen kept the game tied until the ninth when the Reds, helped by that bizarre defensive play involving Ike Davis, and there'll be more on him in a minute, scored 3 times for a 7-4 victory. Harvey's been so good and has set the bar so high that when he's human like he was today, it's a disappointment. It's most of the other 24 players that are the problem with this team. And because he was projected as the guy that hit 35 home runs with 90-plus runs batted in and has been so bad, the focal point of the Mets' woes and fans' frustration is Ike Davis. No longer can his performance be defended. He is 1 for his last 38, completely lost, swings at breaking pitches that bounce 10 feet in front of home plate regularly, misses very hittable fastballs or takes them right down the middle. And now it appears he is taking his offensive problems onto the field because his defense is below par as well. I will give him a pass for that play in the top of the ninth today, which was bizarre, and to the naked eye the ball did look foul. But Davis, like when he is at bat, was very indecisive on that play. This is a results business. He is 1 for his last 38, and it is time, though I originally, because of his strong second half last year, said give him until about June 1st to straighten himself out. It is time for the Mets to once and for all hold their players accountable and send him down with no return timetable. And as far as who they bring up, it really does not matter that much now. He is 1 for his last 38. Gary, I will check it again at a later point in the season, possibly around the All-Star break, which should be an exciting time because the game will be at Citi Field. I will say that it looks like the Mets will have difficulty getting to the 68 to 72 win plateau I projected for them. And as far as your 81 and 81 prediction, let's just say you made it with your heart instead of your head. In closing, and for old time's sake, how about an on-this date in Mets history? 1998, they acquired Mike Piazza from the Florida Marlins for Preston Wilson and 2 other players. And today is the 27th birthday of Colin Cowgill. And finally, let's hang in there. There is a lot of talent, especially pitching on the horizon, and we could be Marlins or Astros or Cubs 104 years and counting since their last title fans.
Okay, and thanks for calling in, Barry. And as far as the my 81 and 81 pick, it probably was some heart into it, but after all, that's what a fan does, and you don't always use your head. And I really believe that they can get there. It doesn't look like it now. But when I made the pick, I thought they could do it. And you know what? I'm going to stick with the pick. I don't change in my horses in midstream. And let's hope they have a booming second half and make my prognostication come true. But it won't be the first time I was wrong. And it certainly won't be the last. And I'm glad to see that you're finally agreeing with me on the whole Ike Davis thing. Look, I think it's getting to the point where they have to send him down for his own good. The Boo Birds will be there, and you know how bad it can be in New York. It can be brutal. So just to get away from the whole spotlight of everything, I think it's time to send him down. And it's time for us to take a quick break and be back after these short messages. For all the listeners of Mets Musings, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a free 14-day trial to give you a chance to check out their service. Over 75,000 titles to choose from in all different categories, including science fiction, mysteries, biographies, sports, computers, you name it, they have it to download. To download your free audiobook today, go to audiblepodcast.com/MetsMusings. Again, that's audiblepodcast.com/MetsMusings for your free audiobook.
Introducing BaseballPodcast.net. Listen to your favorite baseball podcasts 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, only at BaseballPodcasts.net. You can hear Mets Musings, the Mets podcast, Brewtown Sports. It's a Milwaukee Brewers podcast. We have the Japanese Baseball Weekly on Japan Baseball Weekly podcast. We also have an Atlanta Braves podcast talking about the Braves there. And, of course, your Fightin' Phillies podcast called Phillies Talk. So won't you stop by? That's baseballpodcasts with an S.net.
Hi, this is the world-famous Mr. Brewtown of BrewtownSports.podomatic.com. You know, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Google+. Brewtown Sports. You can also listen to the show at Stitcher.com, TuneIn.com, and iTunes.com. And we've got the new one. It's called BrewtownRadio.weebly.com. But the one that I'm most proud of being on is BaseballPodcast.net. It is the home of great baseball talk shows. Check it out, my show and all kinds of other programs all about Major League Baseball. So check it out. That's BaseballPodcast.net, the home for great baseball talk shows.
And we're back from break, and I have a very special guest on tonight. You know, this year, what's coming up after the weekend series the Mets are having with the Braves, the Bronx Bombers will invade Citi Field for 2 games, and then the Mets will go up to Yankee Stadium for 2 games. In the abbreviated version of the 2013 Subway Series, and our guest is a blogger extraordinaire with It's About the Money.net, editor-in-chief there, and writes for that Yankee blog, as well as a lead writer for Second Place Is Not an Option, which is an airy sports blog, and her name is Stacey Gotsulias. And Stacey, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Stacey, my first question is, I'm looking at the Yankees lineup, and I'm trying to figure how in God's name are they winning all of these games?
You're doing the same thing we've all been doing for the past almost 2 months now. It's really unbelievable, mainly because, you know, when all of the injuries started happening and guys were dropping like flies, you know, sports pundits were basically saying that the Yankees would probably be just as bad as the Astros with all of these spare parts thrown into the lineup. And, you know, I mean, they've run into some trouble in the past week or so, you know, not finishing out series and stuff like that, but they're still, you know, 10 games over 500 and still hanging out at the top of the AL East with a couple other teams, and it's unbelievable. It's really unbelievable.
It is. I was talking to a Yankee fan today, and I at work, and actually it was an old boss of mine who's retired, but he had to come in, and he said they're doing it with smoke and mirrors. He has no idea how they're doing it, and it's quite amazing because the Mets are trying to do something similar, and it's not quite working out for us.
Right.
But,
right.
I think there's just I don't know. There's something when you put the uniform on, and maybe, you know, some of the guys that they picked. Well, Vernon Wells was a pretty good ball player, so
right.
You know, maybe a change of scenery was what he needed, and he just hit upon the right thing. Lyle Overbay might be thinking this is his last chance.
Right.
And he's got a chance to win. You know, the Mets signed Rick Yankee, and he's had a pretty good couple of weeks. Now, will it last? I don't know, but it could be the same kind of deal. He thinks this is his last chance too, and maybe there's that little bit more focus, or maybe just putting on a Yankee uniform. They know they're supposed to win, so it's that little bit of focus extra. But it is pretty amazing so far, and everybody's going to shake their head. So how is the pitching so far shaping up for the Yankees?
Well, though he ran into trouble last night, so far this year, Kuroda is our ace. And he's been the ace he was the ace of last season because CC was having some injury issues. And, I think people were really surprised by Kuroda coming over from the NL West. And, that was a whole big thing. Is he going to be able to make the transition from the NL West to the AL East? And, he had a couple of iffy starts in the beginning of the year, and then he had a couple of hard luck losses. Like there was, this was last year, there was a 2-0 game against Yu Darvish where he pitched really well. He just gave up those 2 runs, and the Yankees couldn't do anything against Darvish. And, I'm pleasantly surprised by how well he's adapted to becoming a Yankee and pitching in the AL East. I'm a little worried about Sabathia's velocity because it's not going up. Usually he starts off slow in April, and as the weather gets warmer, his arm starts to get a little stronger, and that's not happening this year, and that's a little scary, especially since he's coming off of the elbow surgery. I mean, it wasn't a major one, but it was still, they were cleaning some stuff up, and that worries me a bit. Then we have Hughes, who is either really good or really horrible. He's almost like he's almost taken over the A.J. Burnett spot from 2 years ago, where it seemed like every other start it was either terrible A.J. or really good A.J. and there was no in between. And who else? Oh, we have Nova, who's been hurt. I don't know when he's coming back, and I hope when he does come back, he figures some stuff out. Because he's another one of those guys where he'll have a game where he'll give up 5 runs on 7 hits, and they're all, extra bases, and then he'll strike out 10. It's kind of like, all right, could you kind of maybe, keep the strikeout totals are really great, but could you kind of keep the extra base hits down? Like, him and Hughes, love giving up these long fly balls. And, and I think David Phelps is doing a good job stepping in, starting. He could have won the other night, and he lost. He pitched well enough to win. And our bullpen's stepping up, which is nice. I think people weren't really – I think people were thinking, everyone's old and, that's going to be a problem. But I think most people thought that the pitching was going to be able to carry the Yankees through and keep them above water. I don't think they were expecting everything to be working at the same time.
Right.
For this record that they have right now, because, like I said, everyone's shocked.
yeah, and that's one of the problems the Mets are having, kind of, because the starters outside of Matt Harvey were only going 4 innings, and the bullpen really has been exposed so far. And lately they've been doing better, but the starters have been going 6, so they're not getting as exposed. And it makes a big difference having. And the Yankees have always had, the last few years, have been a very strong bullpen team. And
yes.
And the starting lineup, man, we talked about how we don't know how they're doing it, but somehow they're doing it with the hitting. And even I don't think Ichiro is not hitting that well yet, and they're still winning games.
Right. And it's every day when the lineup comes out, we all just sit there and laugh at it. But, and there are some days where Girardi will come up with this lineup, and like Jason Nix will be hitting second,
right?
Then Francisco will be hitting sixth, and we're all just sitting there going, "What?" And then they'll end up winning the game, and be like, "Okay, well, we can't really question anything anymore because we don't know what the hell's going on." There's no, it's almost like there's no explanation for it. It's just unbelievable.
It's very amazing because you're down to like your 6th-string catcher.
Oh. That's another thing.
And your 4th-string third baseman.
Right.
I
There was a piece today. from Dan Barbarisi of, I believe he writes for the Wall Street Journal. He was saying that the emergency catcher, in case something happens to Austin Romine, because he got hit in the head with a bat the other night on a backswing. Chris Stewart's at the point where he can't play, but if it's an absolute emergency, he will.
Yeah.
And I believe in the article they were joking about Ichiro possibly catching, but I think worst case scenario, Joe already brought up Jason Nix, and Jason Nix said that he used to catch, but the last time he caught was when he was 13 in Little League. So this is what we're dealing with.
Well, if it's that much of an emergency, you have to do it. So.
Yeah, and the third base-wise, David Adams has stepped in and done a pretty good job coming in the past few days and playing third base. He's hitting the ball well. With him, in the minors, his main issue was health. He had a really bad ankle injury, and it caused him trouble for a couple of seasons. Then he had a back thing, and that also affected his spring training this year. And so far, I'm going to knock on wood. Is there wood around me? Hold on one second. I'm knocking on it right now. Hopefully he'll be okay until we get someone back to play third base. I mean, Youkilis has fallen off the face of the earth. We don't even hear about him anymore.
Right, yeah. No reports or anything.
Yeah.
It's sort of like Pedro Feliciano with the Mets. We don't know what the heck. He had 2 cases of food poisoning. We haven't heard a word since then, so we don't know what the heck is going on with him. But
oh, boy.
It is amazing, though, the amount of injuries and the amount of money on your disabled list is just incredible. So what happens when these guys start coming back? I mean, it's almost like you don't really kind of want them to come back because, is it going to change the chemistry at all? Or, but then how do you not have a perennial all-star and a future Hall of Famer like Jeter if he comes back? You can't sit him. So, I mean, what's the feelings about that?
Yeah, it's odd because, watching this group right now, the way they're playing, it's not like watching a regular Yankee team where you're used to seeing all-stars at every position.
Right.
And, I mean, not that Vern Wells and Lyle Overbay are terrible. I mean, Vern Wells was a very good player, and he had a bad couple of years, and, he's picking things up now that he's become a Yankee. But, but to see guys, like I said, David Adams, and then you have Austin Romine had to step in, and it's not a typical Yankee team, and I like it that way. I've been a Yankee fan my entire life. I'll be 39 in August. And I want these guys to come back. I want Tex to play first base. I'd like for Jeter to be healthy and be able to play. But for right now, I kind of like what's going on, and, I'm not in that much of a hurry for them to come back. Does it mean I don't want them to? No, that doesn't mean that at all.
No.
But for right now, I kind of like the way things are happening. I like how the smoke and mirrors are winning all these games. It's fun to watch.
Right.
Not that it's fun to watch. I mean, it's different. It's different this year.
Yeah, instead of seeing, somebody's going to come up, maybe hit a home run or get a base hit. Now it's kind of almost more of an adventure type of thing, and to watch them play more as a team is probably what's more exciting about the whole thing.
Right. And I mean, it's fun to see someone like Lyle Overbay, with I think something like, I can't remember the exact stat. It was last week, and I think it's changed since then. But at one point, I think close to 30%. No, was it? I can't remember the number now. It was something weird where almost 50% of his hits were extra base hits.
Wow.
Yeah,
it's great.
How did that happen to Lyle Overbay, of all people? It was something crazy like that.
And what is the medical report looking like? When can we expect any of these guys to come back?
Tex, I believe, I just read something actually. Something popped up where I believe they are going to have him in Trenton by Tuesday, starting his rehab starts. Mm-hmm. So he's close to coming back. Michael Pineda is doing more extended spring training. He was hitting 93 today, which is good because I believe in 2011 he was hitting 94 with regularity with his fastball, so he's getting there. I think from what I read, Joel Sherman said something to the effect of him making one more extended spring training start, and then he would be doing a month of rehab starts, I guess, in the minors, and then they would decide after that whether to keep him in AAA or to bring him up to the big club. Jeter, as far as I know, is not really doing anything. I think his ankle is really screwed up. I actually, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think that there's a chance that A-Rod might actually come back before Derek Jeter.
Wow.
Don't bet on it. I mean, don't put any money on it. I'm not absolutely positive, but from what I can tell, A-Rod is actually doing more stuff than Jeter is rehab-wise. So I wouldn't be surprised if that actually happens.
Now, is there any chance that we may never see Jeter again?
I'm hoping that's not the case. I'm hoping that, he didn't screw up his ankle really badly, like Kendrys Morales did. I mean, his injury was a lot worse because he jumped up 5 feet in the air and crashed down
Right.
the home plate. But, he was out nearly 2 seasons with that. And he wasn't as old as Jeter is. I shouldn't say he's really old because Jeter's only 2 months older than I am. But athlete-wise, that's old.
Yeah.
I hope that, that's not the last of us seeing Derek Jeter. And I don't think he'd want it that way. But I think if it got to the point where he wasn't able to play at a high level, then he would probably, I would hope, hang it up.
Yes, yeah.
You don't want to see him struggling out there.
Right. And again, it's the age, and not that he's old by any stretch of the imagination, but for a shortstop on a Major League Baseball team, he is getting up there. And and there's a lot of mileage. He's played a lot of games over the years, so let's not, I'm not a Yankee fan, I admit it, but you hate to see anybody go out that way. You like to have their moment in the sun, so to speak.
Speaking of that, Mariano Rivera. I mean, can anyone believe what he's doing?
Well, he's just. I hate the guy, but but let's face it.
No.
Well, when he beats us.
Well, you just hate seeing him coming to the game.
Yes, that's what it is.
Thing.
But I mean, let's face it. He's the greatest relief pitcher that we've ever seen.
He's unbelievable. He's otherworldly.
I mean, is there any chance he'll come back next year? I mean, why retire?
I know. It almost feels like he could pitch until he's 50.
He very well might be able to, but I guess it comes a time where he's got business interests, and I guess it's time to call it quits. Thank goodness. No, I didn't say that. I'm sorry. So, how do you feel about this new abbreviated Subway Series, or how do you feel about the whole Subway Series thing as it's gone on now for years?
I'm sick of it. Honestly, I'm sick of it but I like the abbreviated version. I was sick of the 6 games. I thought it was too much. I thought maybe one series in one place in the year would have been enough, but I kind of like this home and home. The one thing I don't like about it is I've been a partial season ticket holder since 1999. I've had Sunday tickets since then. And I've always had the Sunday night game, or sometimes they've been Sunday day games.
Right.
I've always had Mets tickets in my package, and this is the first time since 1999 that I don't have a Subway Series game in my ticket package. So it's going to be very odd not being at a Subway Series game.
Well, it
unless someone gets me a free ticket.
Well, I was going to say, it pains me to say this, but you can probably get one online very cheap.
Probably. Actually, turns out, I think people were saying that the tickets at Citi Field were more expensive than the tickets at Yankee Stadium.
Oh, really?
On the secondary market, yeah.
Wow. Yeah,
I just have to say this because it's funny. I've been to, since 1998, I've been to 17 Subway Series games, one World Series game included.
Okay.
The Yankees have won 15 of those 17 games.
Oh, no.
Mm-hmm. The only times that they lost were 1999. Clemens lost that game, that jerk. And 2008 which was a bad year for me personally. So I don't really recall the game that well.
Yeah.
But yeah, 15 out of 17 games that I've seen that are Subway Series games, the Yankees have won.
Well,
so I guess it's a good thing I'm not going.
I was just going to say, don't take this personally, but I'm glad you're not going this year. But I do agree with you. I think it's I think the whole idea has really run its course, and I'm not even a fan of the whole interleague thing, though now it's going to be upon us all the time. But I'm just I'm not a fan of it. It was cute in the beginning, and now
Right.
it's kind of run its course. And I'm old enough to remember the old Mayor Cup games that they used to have, and Mayor's Trophy games. And
When Steinbrenner used to get mad because the Mets would beat the Yankees in spring training, and he'd be pissed off,
yeah, so
threatened to fire people.
But I guess if you're gonna have it, this new format is probably a good thing, and people still seem to like it. I don't know. I agree with Joe Torre on this, though. I was never really a fan. Maybe because we lost all the time. That could be it. But let's hope for this year. Well, I don't know. Honestly, I can't even say. I don't know the pitching matchups except for Tuesday. I believe is going to be Harvey and Kuroda if he's okay to pitch because of he got taken out last night.
I think they said today he's fine. It was just a bruised calf, I believe, and I think it came out earlier today that he should be fine. They're not going to skip it, so that should be an interesting.
That should be
game.
a good matchup. Yeah. If Harvey's on, he's unbelievable. I don't know if you've gotten to see any of him.
Not live, but yeah.
Right. Me too. Just on television, but he looks just unbelievable. And I don't know who's going in the other games. I guess it'd probably be Nice Monday.
Which means it would probably be who pitched before? Oh, Hughes pitched before Kuroda and oh God, so it's going to be Hughes. But that's at Citi Field, though, right?
Yes.
Citi Field is bigger.
It's
so,
big field,
so
yeah.
So he'll give up deep fly balls, maybe not home runs. Okay, so we're okay.
And then I guess you'll get Hefner and Dylan G, who have both been struggling at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
So that could be interesting. And I noticed that you wrote an article about the All-Star Game, and I'd like to get your impressions upon that year fiesta that we have.
I like the All-Star Game. I like the other stuff though. I like the home run derby.
Uh-huh.
I really like the home run derby. I think it's just fun because you get to watch these guys not be so serious, and you see the other guys rooting for them, and you see that more of their personalities come out. And even in the All-Star Game, it's I really don't like that the winner determines who gets home field advantage in the World Series. That's kind of annoying.
Right.
And I don't think that's fair. And that the tie game, 11 years ago in Milwaukee was just. I mean, there's some things that Selig has done. I'm just like, really? I'm kind of over the whole, this time it counts. It's like, okay, really?
Yeah.
It's an exhibition game, and it shouldn't have to count for anything. Voting-wise, too seriously. And did you the whole thing that people want? There's some sort of campaign happening, or there was, I don't know, I heard rumblings of it, that they wanted Mariano Rivera to start for the AL and Matt Harvey to start for the NL because they're playing in Citi Field.
Yeah. I didn't hear about Mariano, though, starting.
Yeah, and he's like, and he even said, I don't start. I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
He's like, I cut into the end of the game. I'm not starting a game. Yeah. He thinks it's stupid too, people.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing with the voting is I think the big controversy in the whole thing. I mean, there's probably a good chance Jeter might get the vote, and as you said in the article, that would kind of be a shame in a way because, I mean, he's not even going to be able to play.
Right.
and but it is really a popularity contest and not who who deserves to go.
Right. Oh no, never. It never is. And even sometimes the picks, after the voting happens and they pick the guys to be on the team, even the managers and the other players pick guys that shouldn't even be on the team.
Right. And I don't know how you.
There was one year they picked Jason Varitek to be on the team. He was batting like .218.
But it was Francona was managing it, right? Yeah.
It was like, yeah, I think so. And
yeah.
That's right, because it was after they won the World Series. And it's like, well, yeah, but he stinks now. So really, like, put someone else who deserves to be on the team on the team. Come on.
That's it. And I think it's a shame, too, that a lot of times the players opt out of not playing in it because it's, it is an exhibition for the fans, but, you want to see the top players. I mean, when I was a kid, as I said, I'm old enough to remember when it was 2 All-Star games in a season. And, you got all the big names. Willie Mays played and Mickey Mantle played and all of that. There was really no opting out. But the game has changed since then. And now you see a lot of the opting out. And I think that's probably what forced their hand to make it to be about something instead of just the exhibition game. But if they could correct that, I mean, I can understand both sides. If a player, you don't want to run the risk of getting injured,
right?
But still, then you'll go play in the World Baseball Classic, which has screwed up a lot of teams too. So it's kind of a tough thing to figure as you go along, but it is what it is, I guess. So, and it's here to stay.
Fun though. To watch it, I think it'll be a fun time, and watching it at Citi Field will be nice. And I love Citi Field. I've been there. I think I've been there 3 times already this season.
No.
Yeah. And my brother and I were going to try and go yesterday, but he's been having issues with his car and couldn't get it fixed, so we couldn't go yesterday.
Oh.
Yeah, but I like going to Citi Field. They have much better food choices there than they do at Yankee Stadium.
And
I'll admit that.
The new Yankee Stadium. I've heard people say that it's not. It's how can I put this? It's not as warm as the old Yankee Stadium. It's it is it's almost too like a cathedral.
Right.
Then
I could see that.
Then as a
I like
ballpark,
it doesn't bother me, but I can see how people would feel that way. I was one of those people when they were breaking ground for the new stadium. I was totally against it. How could they knock the place down? I don't want it. We don't need a new stadium. Just fix this one. And as soon as I walked into the new stadium, I went opening day 2009. I happened to be laid off from my job, and I got a really big severance package. So I decided to get a legend seat for opening day. Because I was like, hey, I have all this money, I might as well. And I set foot into the new stadium, and I said, what was I thinking? This place is great. I was like, my God. I'm like, I could put my purse on the bathroom floor. Like, this is wonderful. You never do that at the old place. I mean, there are differences, and there are things that I preferred about the old stadium. I kind of liked, I sat in the upper deck in the old stadium, and I sit in the upper deck in the new one.
Mm-hmm.
And in the new one, I feel like I'm a million miles away from the field, where in the old one, I was 5 rows. I was in the 5th row of the upper deck, but I was right on top of everything because of the way it hung over the other levels. So in that sense, I miss the old stadium, like the actual field part and the seats, but everything else about the new stadium I love. I like being able to, if I'm too cold in the upper deck, I'll go down to the 200 level and I'll stand behind the seats and I'll be able to watch the game with no problem. You couldn't do that in the old place.
Right.
Everything was closed off. It was like being in a dungeon. So I see both sides of it. I mean, it is different. It's supposed to be different.
Well, I was a kid that grew up in Queens, so I was a Shea Stadium kid all my life. And then actually, I went to opening day this year, and that was the first time I was in Citi Field since it opened. And I used to have, I was a season ticket holder, partial like you. I had Saturdays at Shea.
Mm-hmm.
And it just, I got older. It just, And it got, just everything became a hassle. Do you go on a cloudy day? Do you stay home? That kind of thing. And it was
Right.
just, your life changes. You start doing other things. And my brother and I had the tickets, and he retired and wanted to move to Florida, so we just gave him up. But I did get to go this year, and it was really a lot of fun. My daughter, who's in college, worked over the hurricane season. She goes to college in Staten Island, and she worked for Habitat for Humanity, so she had the opportunity to go, and she got 2 tickets, and she asked me to go with her, and she got to stand on the field on opening day as they formed a house. They were saluting the Habitat for Humanity and for all the first responders and stuff. So it was pretty cool because she was there on the field, and I was in the seats watching it. So it was a proud moment, and it was pretty neat for her. And she was texting me and sending me pictures from the field and stuff. So it was pretty neat. And like you said, I really enjoyed the first time I've been there, and I like the new ballpark. I'm partial to Shea. It was as we used to say, it's a dump, but it's our dump.
That's what we used to say about Yankee Stadium.
Yeah,
Same thing.
yeah. So, but I do like a lot of the things at the new City Field. I'm hoping to go back again this year and try to go a little bit more often and support the Mets. There's going to be plenty of tickets available, I'm sorry to say, but I just hope they can.
Too, because it's a really nice place.
It is, but I think it doesn't have an identity yet. I think because when they opened, they were on the verge of being a good team, and then they had those collapses, and then they opened it, and then they just haven't been able to perform up to that level that they did.
You know what it was? I said this in 2009. It was that damn cat on the field on opening day.
Maybe, yeah, it worked in 1969 for them, but
yep, it was like the reverse.
Yeah. So I think if they can put together a good team and get some of the atmosphere back, then I think it'll be better. But it's a beautiful ballpark. There's nothing you can say that you don't like about it. And I hope for the future that it gets better for them, and because it's tough.
Yeah.
You haven't experienced this in.
I haven't in a while. It's been a while for me. I went to my first Yankee games. I'll be celebrating the 30th anniversary of my first games. I went to a doubleheader on August 8th, 1983, and
okay.
so my first experiences going to Yankee Stadium. It was funny because I was a kid, and I was almost 9 years old, and I remember being mad that my dad hadn't taken me to a game before then.
Uh-huh.
But I understand now that I'm an adult and I see people struggling with their kids. I'm like, oh, of course I waited till I was almost 9 years old. I mean, because you don't get to see the game when you bring young kids with you.
Right.
You're the whole time. And, when I was a kid, I had like a 10-game winning streak. The first 10 games that I went to, the Yankees won. And the first game that they lost, I actually had to leave the game because I was getting a fever, and I left in the 5th inning, and Boston scored. Like, the Yankees were, winning 3-1, I think, and Boston scored all their runs, and they ended up winning 4-3, and I listened to them lose in the car, and I blamed myself because I left. I was like, it's my fault because I left. I just felt from playoffs and this and that, and even as a kid, when the Mets won the World Series in '86, I was excited for my Met fan friends and my Met fan homeroom teacher who had to count down to how many games they needed to win to get to this and how many games were left, and I was excited for everyone. I didn't care. It didn't bother me when I was a kid.
Well, one thing I'm finding that as I continue to do this show and interview people from all over the country and bloggers and things like that everybody has there's not that real hatred for one team or the other. There's a competition. And like I said, I'm not a Yankee fan. But, I'm not going to attack anybody that's a Yankee fan because I think it's cool if they come to the stadium and we go there and you root for your team. That's what it's all about. It's about that passion. It's just a shame that there are fans out there that that want to start fights or whatever. It's a shame that you can't walk into some opposing stadiums and have your garb on and without being afraid for your life. It's really a shame.
Yeah. Like what happened in L.A.
L.A. Yes, yeah,
couple of years ago.
with Brian Stowe.
Terrible.
Yeah, that's an awful situation. In fact, we have a listener that's involved with the Brian Stowe Foundation, and he does he writes a blog called Grubby Glove at grubbyglove.com, and he's planning a big fundraiser in connection with the foundation sometime at the end of 2014 or beginning of 2014. So we'll hear more about that on this show when it happens. But yeah, it's really a shame, and but unfortunately that's what happens. And you're going to have a large contingent of Met fans at Yankee Stadium because the Seven Line Army. The Seven Line is a T-shirt company. That guy's a lifelong Met fan, and he got involved making T-shirts just as a kind of a hobby, and people liked them, and now he's making them, all kinds of different things. And what he does is he gets large groups of tickets, and if you buy the ticket from him, you get a T-shirt for that occasion, and everybody sits together with their T-shirts on. And it's pretty cool because, everybody's got the same color T-shirt and everything, and they're all rooting. In fact, he had his first time they ever went out of town. They went to Chicago and sat in the bleachers on last Saturday. So a couple of times, Pix refused to mention them. They wouldn't mention them on the air. But you couldn't, if there was a fly ball, you could see it. There was all these orange shirts out in center field. So it was really pretty neat. And they're doing a trip. They're calling it the Bronx Invasion. So it should be fun for those guys. Maybe one day I'll be able to have the time to go with them to a game, and we'll see. Well, this has been a blast.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
They're fun to be at. Like I said, I've been at a bunch of Subway Series games. And last year I was at the Sunday afternoon game. What was the date? June 10th, I believe, was the date. And Rafael Soriano blew a save, and the Mets tied up the game. And Russell Martin came up in, I think it was the 10th inning. And I said to my friend, because Roush came in, and Roush has that really ugly neck tattoo, and I said to my friend Dave, I said, I want Martin to hit a walk-off home run just because I want to use the line, Martin tattoos Roush, Yanks winning extras. And I'm not even kidding. 2 seconds after I said it, Russell Martin hits the walk-off, and my friend goes, seriously? I'm like, oh my God. And that's exactly what I used for my game recap title.
And so it worked out perfect for you.
Yeah. Like I said, I always see them win, and I was like, no, they can't lose. You know who's winning here.
Yeah, it's crazy the superstitions we have. I'd wear a hat, and if they won that day, I'd keep wearing a hat until they lost, and then now I'm running out of hats. I don't know what to do.
I used to do that in the playoffs. I used to get in my old ticket plan in the old stadium, I had 4 tickets every Sunday, and then we would get 1 game each round of the playoffs, 4 seats. And if the Yankees won the first game that I went to, I would wear the same exact outfit to the next round if they made it to the next round. I mean, of course, I would change my unmentionables, but everything else would be the same from head to toe. So, yeah, I understand this. The superstition, I'm one of those superstitious people, too.
All right. Well, as I said, this has been a lot of fun, and I'm so glad that you could come on the show. And good luck to the Yankees.
Good luck to the Mets. Hopefully everyone stays healthy during the 4 games that we play each other.
And is there anything you'd like to plug before we go?
It's about themoney.net. If anyone happens to be listening to this and wants to look at a Yankee blog. I also write for Aries Sports. Second place is not an option. That was a Joe Torre quote. I thought it was funny, and I thought I could use it as a blog title, and I thought it would be perfectly obnoxious as a Yankee blog title. And I also write for a site called High Heat Stats, which is a general baseball blog that focuses on stats, and there are a lot of really smart people on that blog. I don't know why they want me to write for them, but they do. So.
Well, thanks again for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a lot of fun.
You can now hear our show while on the go with Stitcher Smart Radio. On-demand news, talk, and more on your mobile phone. The latest episode is always available for you. No syncing needed and no memory or storage wasted. Available for your iPhone, Android phone, WebOS phone, or your BlackBerry. Downloading is easy. Go to Stitcher.com or check out your app store. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio.
Looking for great Cardinals talk? Then check out Conversations with C70. My name's Daniel Shoftaw, and I talk with some of the great bloggers on the internet today about their teams, but it always goes back to the Cardinals. Find the latest episode on my website, www.cardinal70.com, or at baseballpodcast.net.
Hello, Mets fans. My name is Rich Baxter from FightinPhillies.com and the Phillies Talk podcast. I hope you're enjoying this edition of Mets Musings with my friend Gary, and I know I never miss a show. I'd like to invite you all to listen to a Phillies podcast if you'd like. Just head on over to FightinPhillies.com, or you can find us on iTunes, Audible, or Stitcher Radio. You can also find all of our podcasts at baseballpodcasts, that's with an S, .net. You can find Mets Musings. There's an Atlanta Braves podcast, one all the way from Japan. We have a Boston Red Sox one, and also one from the Milwaukee Brewers, and they're all independent podcasts. I think you'll enjoy them all. So head on over, give us a listen, and thanks for listening to Mets Musings with Gary McDonald.
(516-619-6341). That is the voicemail comment hotline. If you'd like to leave a voicemail like Barry did earlier in the show, and you can do it that way. You can go to our website at metsmusings.com, click on the widget on the right-hand side, and leave a voicemail right there. Or you can do it the old-fashioned way and send me an email by sending that to metsmusings@gmail.com. And don't forget now, our great guest tonight, Stacey Gotsulias, who writes for itsaboutthemoney.net, and also she writes for Aries Sports. And second place is not an option. That's the name of the blog. And it's a Yankee blog, so for any of you New York fans out there that root for both teams, there you go. Take a look at Stacey's blog, especially if you guys are just baseball fans, because she's a very good writer, and I've enjoyed her stuff immensely. And so glad that she could make it onto the show. And that's really the show for this week. Looking at the calendar and the schedule, it's 3 against Atlanta this weekend. And then, as we said, as Stacey and I talked about it, the Yankees come into town for the 2013 version of the Subway Series. So let's keep our fingers crossed that things get a little better for the Metsies. Tough teams coming up, tough times, but remember, keep the faith, stay optimistic, and let's go Mets.